Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the TLC Tables, Ladders, and Chairs review. And of course, TLC was last night, and this was the final pay-per-view of the decade for WWE. And of course, you guys are getting two reviews tonight. You're getting the TLC review, which is this, and then of course later on tonight you're getting the Monday Night Raw review. But hopefully Raw is a decent show tonight, but we all know it'll possibly be a shit show like how it is every week. So at least we're getting AJ Styles versus Randy Orton tonight, which that was supposed to be on the TLC card, but then they moved it to Raw tonight. So we'll see how that match goes. Probably end up being a decent match. But TLC was from the Target Center in Minneapolis. And might as well call this TL shit because this show fucking sucked. This was a fucking shitty show, TLC. It had a decent first hour. And then after the Aleister Black versus Buddy Murphy match, that was when the show just took a downhill slump from there. It went downhill after the Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy match. So let's get on with the TLC review. Yes, I still have a cold, so sorry if I sound like this. But the first match that was on the Kickoff Show, this was the only match that was on the Kickoff Show. It was Humberto Carrillo versus Andrade Cien Almas. Fortunately, didn't get a chance to see this match, but Humberto ended up winning the match. So once again, Andrade loses. But Humberto Carrillo wins the match in the Kickoff Show. And then I'm going to start with the regular matches now on the TLC card. So TLC kicked off with the TLC match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. The New Day, Big E and Kofi Kingston versus The Revival. Of course, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder. And in my opinion, this was the best match of the night. This was a great match between the both of them. You know, it was the same thing. You know, we've seen the New Day and the Revival go at it this year quite a few times. But this was still a great match. They delivered. Both of them, both teams delivered in this match. You had at one point where Kofi ended up going off of the top, landed on the ladder, and he looked like he hurt his knee, and he also took out Scott Dawson. Scott Dawson looked like he was injured on the outside. That was a crazy move that Kofi did. He had Big E try to go for a splat. I think it was on Scott Dawson, and what moved out of the way. Big E ended up taking the splat on the ladder, which looked painful. But the New Day ended up getting the win. Kofi ended up retrieving the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. So the New Day ended up winning the match. They still retained the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, which we all knew that the New Day was going to win it. WWE is just, giving the Revival, chances on getting the titles again, but they're only doing this. WWE is only doing this to the Revival because, they want the Revival to sign new contracts so the Revival won't go to AEW, which the Revival's not going to sign, new contracts. As I say, once their contract is up, they're gone. And if they do sign with WWE, I would lose all respect for Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson because of how WWE has been treating them, how they embarrassed them earlier in the year when they had that rivalry with the Usos and that Usi Hot shit. Yeah, you all probably remember that Usi Hot thing where you had Scott Dawson bouncing around on the stage, making a fool of themselves. Scott Dawson also screaming, when the Usos introduced the Usi Hot. Fucking embarrassing. So, but hopefully the Revival don't sign with WWE, re-sign contracts, because if they do, like I said, I will lose all respect for the both of them. I hope once their contracts are up, they go to AEW. If they do go to AEW, look at all the tag teams that they could compete with. You got the Jurassic Express, SCU. You have all those tag teams. Private Party. What if the Revival goes to AEW? They will be treated, more respectfully, and they could put on classics in AEW. So, but hopefully, when that contracts are up, like I said, hope they go there. Because how much more, embarrassment could WWE do or give the Revival? They're just wasting the talent that the Revival have. And the Revival are one of the best tag teams on the WWE roster. Even though the whole tag team division is shit. So, but overall, the TLC match between the New Day and the Revival, it was a great match. It was the best match of the night, in my opinion. So I really enjoyed it. And then we had Kayla Braxton. She was backstage. She was interviewing boring old King Corbin, King Boring. Fans were booing. And Corbin went on about how he's not concerned with Roman Reigns being upset. Corbin ended up saying that he will use tables, ladders, and chairs to beat Roman and show Roman who his real master is. And then he will make Roman bow down to the king. So I did not give a shit. I did not give a shit about this interview. So I don't give a shit. I didn't give a shit about the match, which I'll get to. Then we had Aleister Black versus Buddy Murphy. Good match between the both of them. Although the crowd should have been, popping here for this match because these are two talented guys. Aleister Black. I know that he's been in, that WWE is making him cut those closet, promos. But at least, we got to see him, in the ring again, taking on Buddy Murphy. But the match, it was back and forth between the both of them. You had Aleister Black, his nose was broken, and you saw a little bit of blood on his face. Buddy Murphy. So Aleister Black, ended up hitting the Black Mass to Buddy Murphy, and Aleister Black ended up picking up the win. So Aleister Black wins the match. It was a really good match between Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy. Two guys, like I said, two guys who are very talented, and surprised to see Aleister, continue the match after Buddy Murphy end up breaking Aleister's nose. You saw little bits of blood on the canvas. But all in all, good match from the both of them. Although the crowd should have been more, energetic here because these two guys are very talented. So, and then we had Charlie Caruso. Charlie Caruso was backstage she was interviewing Rusev. Charlie Caruso ended up asking about Rusev's reaction to Bobby Lashley, saying that Lashley plans to propose to Lana. So Rusev ended up saying that he is glad because it means that he won't have to pay her alimony when Lana remarries. And Rusev says he is confident about the tables match. And he is excited to be back. Really back. And we hear a Rusev Day chant from the crowd. Rusev ends up walking away, and that's how the interview ended. But I don't give a shit. I did not give a shit. And then this is where the show went downhill. This is where the show went to shit. We had the War Raiders versus Gallows and Anderson. The War Raiders wanted an open challenge for anyone in the back to face them for the Raw Tag Team Championships. And this match should have been a KFC open challenge because this match was sponsored by KFC. Because you had 4 fans sitting at ringside, had a table out there with KFC on it, and the food from KFC, you had chicken, mashed potatoes, you had biscuits that were there. So this should have been a KFC open challenge. So out came Gallows and Anderson. They were the ones who wanted to challenge the War Raiders for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Match ended up happening. Match was very meh, in my opinion. Not a good, it was a sucky match, shitty match between them. And the match ended in a double countout where both the War Raiders and Gallows and Anderson were, on the outside. So the ref was making the count. He was making a 10 count. And the ref ended up calling for the match because both teams didn't even get up. So the match ended in a double countout. And so then we saw Karl Anderson slams Eric face first into the KFC table. The 4 fans end up getting up, and the fans were just WWE plants that they just planted there. They probably worked for the company. So then the War Raiders end up driving Karl Anderson through the KFC table. And I'm like, what a waste of KFC food. What a fucking waste. Anderson goes through the table. But shitty match. Garbage match. And stupid end. Stupid end with both teams getting counted out. This match was just only announced for them to promote KFC. That was it. It was just a promotion for KFC. So then we saw Kayla Braxton. She was backstage with The Miz. Kayla ended up asking Kayla ended up asking The Miz how the family is. Miz ended up telling Kayla Braxton that he ends up saying that she's fine, and after that Maurice is fine. And after last Friday, he decided to move his family to a safe location. And he did that in order for all this with Bray Wyatt to be over. So The Miz ended up saying that this is the most important and most personal match of his career. He says he's not fighting as The Miz or as a WWE superstar. He's fighting as a man protecting his family. That's good for The Miz. So The Miz says he's willing to face anyone or anything. So it was a decent interview with The Miz. It shows, he's just not fighting as himself or a WWE superstar, that he's fighting to protect his family. It's good. It's a good thing for The Miz. Just for him trying to protect his family from Bray Wyatt. Oh, man. And then we had King Corbin versus Roman Reigns. TLC match. Garbage. Shitty match. We had Corbin being bought out by his guys and the sedan. He was being bought out with the sedan. Once again. Oh, man. Do I need to talk about this match? Because that's how boring this match was. It was slow. It was just back and forth between Corbin and Roman. And I'm like, with this whole feud with Corbin and Roman, I'm like, what are these two fighting for? So, towards the end of the match, Reigns was going to hit a spear on Corbin against the barricade. Roman ends up running into a super kick by Dolph Ziggler, who was underneath the ring. He was hiding under the ring. Fans were booing him. Ziggler ended up helping up Corbin. Ziggler ends up kicking the timekeeper. And Dolph ends up going back under the ring. Pulls out dog food. Sorry about that, but I was saying, Dolph ended up going under the ring. Pulling out dog food. Ended up getting chains and handcuffs. And goes to pour dog food on the timekeeper. And they chain him up. But Roman ends up saving the timekeeper with a drive-by. Reigns goes underneath the ring. Takes out a kendo stick. So Corbin's security guards start charging at Roman. But Roman ends up hitting all the security guys with kendo sticks. With kendo stick shots. So the Revival come out of nowhere. And they drop Roman. Dash Wilder holds Roman down. Dawson ends up hitting Roman with the kendo stick. And the Revival ends up bringing Roman into the ring. Roman gets up, hits a Superman punch on Dash Wilder. Then hits another Superman punch to Scott Dawson. Corbin ends up running in. Roman ends up clotheslining Corbin back to the floor. We had Roman ends up running the ropes, leaps over the top, takes out Corbin, takes out the Revival, Dolph, and Corbin's security guards. Roman then brings Corbin into the ring. And, the fans are cheering for Roman. Roman ends up calling for a spear on Corbin. And we just see Dolph Ziggler, throws a chair face first to Roman. Chair shot to Roman. Dolph ends up hitting a zigzag to Roman. Then Dolph and the Revival, they take down Roman with a shatter machine. The Revival hits a shatter machine to Roman. Corbin ends up looking on. And then Corbin ends up winning the match. Ends up hitting the end of days to Roman. So there you go. Corbin ends up winning thanks to Dolph and the Revival. That was that. Garbage match. Shitty ass match. Shitty ass TLC match. Should it even have been a TLC match? Pointless. I don't give a shit about this Corbin and Roman feud. And now they're going to stretch it out. This is going to lead into the Royal Rumble. 6 weeks, we're going to get more of this shit? Oh, man. Yeah, that's fun, guys. 6 more weeks, we're going to have to deal with Corbin and Roman. And the storyline is going to continue. It's going to continue into the Royal Rumble. So then we had, also after that match, we had Bray Wyatt versus The Miz. Bray Wyatt came out, loved his entrance, came out with just the Mr. Rogers look, has dreadlocks tied up, came out with the Firefly Funhouse music. It was really awesome. Of course, it wasn't the Fiend. It was just Bray Wyatt himself. So the match itself, I was looking forward to this match because, it's interesting. Bray Wyatt and The Miz. But in the end, I was interested in how this was going to be with both of them. But the match ended up turning to a very meh match because as soon as the match started, The Miz got the upper hand. The Miz was beat up on Bray Wyatt. And The Miz was pretty much in control of this match. But later Bray ended up taking control. At the end of the match, Bray ended up hitting the Sister Abigail to The Miz. And Bray Wyatt ends up picking up the win. But overall, the match itself was very meh, in my opinion. Though I was going to like this match, but it just turned into a very meh. And then post-match, The Fiend appeared on the Titantron. Bray Wyatt ends up staring up at the Titantron, looking at The Fiend. Fans were chanting, "Let him in." So then Bray Wyatt ends up going under the ring. And he brings out a mallet. And it was The Fiend's mallet. Bray Wyatt then brings the mallet into the ring. Bray Wyatt ends up staring The Miz down. The Fiend was still on the Titantron. Bray Wyatt ends up getting up, walking over to The Miz. And the lights go down. And Bray Wyatt's getting excited. He was saying, "Oh, he's here." Bray Wyatt then turns around. And we see a man with the hood standing in the ring. And this hooded man, drops Wyatt with a running knee. And right from there, we all knew that it was Daniel Bryan. So the fans were chanting, "Yes, yes." And this guy takes the hood off, and of course, it's Daniel Bryan. It's a clean shaven Daniel Bryan. This is how Daniel Bryan looked at the beginning of the decade, at the beginning of 2010. He had a nice, shaved head, lost a long beard. So Daniel Bryan looks good. So Daniel Bryan ends up kicking Bray Wyatt, charges in to Bray Wyatt with a drop kick, with a run drop kick. Daniel Bryan, starts taking out Bray Wyatt even more as the crowd was chanting yes. Daniel Bryan then ends up grabbing the mallet, and the lights go out. As the lights come back on, Daniel Bryan is alone in the ring. There was no Miz and no Bray Wyatt there. So the Universal Championship was shown on the canvas. And Daniel Bryan ends up slamming the mallet and his music ended up hitting. The fans were chanting yes still. Daniel Bryan looks down at the Universal Championship, and Daniel Bryan marches up the ramp, and we saw him, giving high fives to the fans, and the crowd was still chanting yes. And that was that. But I like how, Daniel Bryan looks now, refreshed Daniel Bryan, looked how, he looked at the beginning of this decade. So, and this is going to tell a good story, which it's going to be Daniel Bryan versus The Fiend. And it's going to be stretched out, and we're going to be getting Daniel Bryan and The Fiend at the Royal Rumble. So it's going to be a good build between Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt as The Fiend. So I'm really looking forward to how WWE is going to take this feud with Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt, The Fiend. And this is all going to lead up to them having a match at the Royal Rumble. So, really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to Daniel Bryan and The Fiend, how they're going to do this at the Royal Rumble, and how this build is going to be. And then we had Bobby Lashley versus Rusev in a tables match. Garbage match, shitty match. Did not care for this. Hopefully this puts an end to this shitty storyline between Lashley, Rusev, and Lana. Please, let this be the last. We don't need any more of this garbage storyline between them. But you had points where Lana was getting involved here in the match. Yeah, that is how much. Yeah, I got nothing to explain about this match. That's how much I cared for this match. Did not give a shit what was going on with the both of them. Bobby Lashley ended up winning the match by putting Rusev through a table. That was that. Did not give a shit about this match. Bobby Lashley wins. Moving on. So then we went backstage, and we saw the Street Profits. Angelo Dawkins, Montez Ford. They were hyping up TLC. Angelo Dawkins gives Bobby Lashley some advice, and he tells Bobby Lashley to get a vasectomy. And we see a brawl that was happening backstage. And it was Roman brawling with Corbin. And Dolph Ziggler and the Revival and the New Day were there. So they were just brawling. Street Profits end up jumping in, and they end up going at it with the Revival. So that was that. Sorry about that, but I was saying, they were just brawling. And pretty much basically, that was what happened. Then we had the main event. It was a TLC match for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Asuka and Kairi Sane versus Becky Lynch and Charlotte. And to me, this was a decent, women's match. It was back and forth between them. We had Charlotte end up going through a table. And it looked like, I guess her head bounced back. And Kairi Sane, from reports from what I'm reading, Kairi Sane might be injured, because there was a point where they were clearing off the announce table, and I guess Kairi got hit with one of the monitors that they have on the announce table. It hit Kairi in the head. So I think because of that, she's injured. And we had kendo sticks that was being used, chairs, and there was a rope that Asuka used, and she was whipping Becky with it. And they end up tying Asuka and Kairi saying they end up tying Becky with the rope. They end up tying Becky with the rope around the ladder, so Becky was tied up. And pretty much in the end, Asuka and Kairi Sane win the match. They still retain the Women's Tag Team Championships. So, but we all knew that Asuka and Kairi Sane were going to retain the titles. I mean, did we want to see Becky and Charlotte win the titles and Becky become two belts again, and Charlotte having another title around her? We don't want to see that again. Especially we don't want to see Charlotte with another title around her waist. Like how many? We already know how many titles Charlotte won. This there would be like what, her 10th title reign or more. Who gives a shit? So Asuka and Kairi Sane win the match, which we all knew was going to happen. So after the match, we saw Roman Reigns, King Corbin. They were going at it, and we see the Revival and the New Day, the OC, Dolph Ziggler, and others getting involved, and the copyright. Little copyright sign on the bottom looked like the show was going to end, but unfortunately, there were seconds to spare where it continued to show us the brawl. So the brawl was happening all over, in the crowd. There were security guards that came down. Reigns and Corbin are on, the ramp. And Reigns ends up sending Corbin off the stage, which took out the big group of superstars and security down below. And so the pay-per-view ended with the superstars and security guards on the ground. So that's how the pay-per-view ended. So, but all in all, TLC, shitty pay-per-view. This pay-per-view sucked. It was TL shit, as I would call it. Had a decent first hour, and then went downhill from there. So, this is the last, like I said, this is the last pay-per-view of the decade for WWE for this decade. So, but shitty pay-per-view. But anyways, that's it for the TLC review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And once again, sorry, of how I sound. I still have a cold, still have a head cold. So hopefully by this week, I'll be better. So, but that's it for this review, this video. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all back here later tonight, with the Monday Night Raw review. So I'll see you all later tonight.